Hello and welcome. Today, we delve into one of the most profound human experiences, finding purpose when everything seems lost. We're not talking about simple positive thinking. We're exploring a resilience forged in the fires of unimaginable adversity, a strength discovered not by changing circumstances, but by changing oneself. Imagine a landscape stripped bare of hope. It's the dead of winter in Nazi Europe. You're marching, stumbling really, alongside hundreds of other skeletal figures. The guards scream insults, their rifle butts are quick to punish any faltering step. The icy wind cuts through your rags, biting into your bones. Frostbite gnaws at your feet, lodged in shoes filled with gaping holes. Every step is agony. Hunger is a constant, hollow ache. The man next to you slips, falls, and doesn't get up. You avert your eyes, knowing his fate, focusing only on putting one broken shoe in front of the other. This isn't a scene from a movie. This was the daily reality for Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist imprisoned in Auschwitz and other concentration camps during World War II. In this abyss of dehumanization, where life was reduced to a desperate struggle for a crust of bread or a moment's warmth, Frankl observed something extraordinary. Stripped of possessions, dignity, health, and even their names, reduced to mere numbers, the prisoners still possessed one final, inviolable freedom: the freedom to choose their attitude, to find meaning in their suffering. One freezing morning on just such a death march, Frankl felt his spirit failing. The physical misery was overwhelming, the despair absolute. Thoughts turned bleak. Why endure this? What was the point? Then, prompted by a guard's impatient shout, Frankl forced himself into a different mental space. He began thinking of his beloved wife, Tilly. He conjured her image with intense clarity, her smile, her encouraging glance. He engaged in imaginary conversations with her. Suddenly, the brutal reality around him seemed to fade slightly. His love for his wife, this inner reality, became more vibrant and real than the suffering he was enduring. He wrote later, "I understood how a man who has nothing left in this world still may know bliss, be it only for a brief moment in the contemplation of his beloved." In that moment, shivering and starved on a desolate road under the watchful eyes of brutal guards, Frankl discovered a profound truth. His inner life, his thoughts and feelings, could not be touched by his captors. He could choose to focus on love, on memory, on beauty, even if only imagined. He also employed another technique. As a psychiatrist, he began to detach himself mentally, observing the horrors around him and his own reactions with a clinical, objective curiosity. He imagined himself standing on a podium after the war, lecturing to students about the psychology of the concentration camp, explaining the very suffering he was currently experiencing. This mental shift, this projection into a future where his suffering would have meaning as a lesson to others, gave him a purpose beyond mere survival. It transformed his ordeal into something he could learn from, something that could eventually serve a greater good. This wasn't denial. It wasn't pretending the horror wasn't real. It was an active choice to find a different perspective, to imbue his existence with meaning moment by moment. Frankl saw that those prisoners who managed to hold onto a sense of future purpose, whether it was reuniting with a loved one, completing unfinished work, or simply bearing witness, had a statistically higher chance of survival. Those who lost all sense of meaning, who gave up on the future, were often the first to succumb, physically and mentally. From these harrowing experiences, Frankl developed his influential school of psychotherapy known as logotherapy. The name comes from the Greek word logos, which translates to meaning. At its core, logotherapy proposes that the primary driving force in human beings is not pleasure, as Freud believed, or power, as Adler argued, but the striving to find meaning in one's life. Frankl argued that meaning can be discovered in three primary ways. First, through creating a work or doing a deed. This is about contribution, about achieving something tangible or making a difference through our actions, our jobs, our creativity. Second, through experiencing something or encountering someone. This often involves love, connecting deeply with another person, experiencing the beauty of nature, or appreciating art and culture. It's about finding meaning in receiving the world, in relationships, in moments of awe or connection. Third, and perhaps most relevant to his own experience, by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When faced with a situation we cannot change, like a terminal illness, an irreversible loss, or indeed, imprisonment in a concentration camp, we are still free to choose our attitude. We can choose to face suffering with courage, dignity, and integrity. This transformation of suffering into a human achievement, into something meaningful, is the ultimate expression of our inner freedom. Now you might be thinking, that's an incredible story, but my life isn't a concentration camp. How does this apply to my struggles, the stress at work, the relationship problems, the feeling of being stuck? The power of Frankl's insight lies in its universality. While the circumstances differ vastly, the fundamental human challenge remains. How do we respond when life doesn't go our way? When we face disappointment, loss, frustration, or just the quiet ache of meaninglessness that can creep into modern life? Think about it. When you lose a job, you face a choice. You can succumb to bitterness and despair, or you can view it as an opportunity to reassess, to learn, perhaps even to pursue a path more aligned with your true interests. When a relationship ends, you can choose to be consumed by resentment, or you can choose to learn from the experience, focus on personal growth, and maintain dignity. Logotherapy doesn't promise happiness. Frankl himself was wary of the direct pursuit of happiness, believing it was often a byproduct of finding meaning, not an end in itself. Instead, it offers a framework for resilience. It reminds us that even when external circumstances are challenging, our inner world remains our own domain. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. This isn't about ignoring pain or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about finding the why that helps us bear almost any how. It's about recognizing that meaning isn't something grand and abstract that we wait for life to bestow upon us. It's something we actively create and discover in our daily choices, in our connections, in our work, and crucially, in how we face the inevitable difficulties life throws our way. Consider the small moments. Choosing patience when frustrated, choosing kindness when treated unfairly, choosing to focus on what you can do rather than dwelling on what you can't, choosing to find beauty in a simple sunset or connection in a conversation with a friend, even when larger things feel overwhelming. These aren't trivial acts. They are exercises of that last human freedom Frankl spoke of, the freedom to shape our inner experience, regardless of the outer world. Frankl's story is a stark reminder that human potential is not just about achieving success or comfort. It's about our capacity to find meaning even in the bleakest conditions. It teaches us that purpose isn't found out there, but cultivated in here, through the conscious choices we make about where to direct our attention and what attitude to adopt. It's a demanding philosophy, perhaps. It places responsibility squarely on our shoulders, but it's also incredibly empowering. It means that no situation, no matter how dire, can rob us of our fundamental capacity to live a meaningful life. The search for meaning itself gives our lives direction and purpose. It's the fuel that keeps us going, the light that can pierce even the darkest night. So the next time you feel trapped by circumstances, remember Frankl's march in the snow. Remember his choice to fill his inner world with love and purpose, even as the outer world sought to crush his spirit. Your challenges may be different, but your freedom to choose your response remains the same. And in that choice lies the key not just to survival, but to a life lived with depth, dignity, and meaning. If you found this exploration valuable, please subscribe and click the notification bell. We'll be sharing more insights like this, drawn from philosophy, psychology, strategy, and more, designed to help you navigate life with greater clarity and purpose. Thank you for watching.